Morning everybody. So today we're going to be continuing on our setting descriptions where we're actually going to enter the water from our stories of the diving. Obviously if you haven't completed Friday's lesson, you'll need to do that first because this is the second part of the story. Okay, so first of all, going to look at conjunctions, and we have actually started to look at some of these conjunctions, but this time we're going to look at some time conjunctions. So conjunctions are used to join ideas in a sentence. They give us more information and give us reasons or other ideas, and they join them together. They can be used at the beginning of a sentence, so when the dog settled in his basket, he began to snore gently. Or they can be used in the middle of a sentence, the dog began to snore gently when he had settled in his basket. So conjunctions can be used wherever. They could be at the beginning, the middle or the end, depending on which one you are using. So we're going to have a look at these today. So time conjunctions. Time conjunctions can be used anywhere in the sentence, just like we've said there. So they can be before something happens, at the start, so they can tell you when things happen. So that is all a time conjunction does. It tells you a little bit more information about when something happens. So these are some examples. So we've got before, by the time, now that, now, once, after, since, till, until, when, whenever, or while. There are also other ones that you can also use. However, these are probably the most used ones that you can put into your sentences. So if we have a look at how we can use time conjunctions at different places in the sentence. So for the first one, we're using the time conjunction before. So we're telling you that something has happened before. So before she left school, she brushed her teeth. So before is at the start. We could also have it at the end of the sentence. So it could be she brushed her teeth before she left school. So it tells you the same information. It just tells you a little bit more using the word before, and it just changes the sentence around. We could also have after, so after the rain had stopped, the children went out to play. But that's obviously at the beginning of the sentence. However, we could put after in the middle. The children went out to play after the rain had stopped. So that's making it more of a reason. So I'd like you to have a go to see if you can now have a go at putting some of these time connectors, time conjunctions into our sentences. So I'd like you to copy the sentences out into your book, and I'd like you to pick the most appropriate one. So I enjoy playing at the park, school. Now there might be one or two that you could use. If there is more than one option that works really well, please can you also write that as a sentence as well. So what I would suggest doing is reading the sentence and having a go at putting each of those words, each of those time conjunctions into that sentence to make sure it really makes sense and the sentence is really, you could even as well put some more detail in it if you would like to as well, to just have a little bit more description. So let's have a look to see if you've got the same sentences. So I enjoy playing at the park before school. So you're saying that before school, that's when you do it. So I could have changed it around. I could have said before school, I enjoy playing at the park. So I've put my before at the start. You could, however, you could have also had I enjoy playing at the park after school, or after school I enjoy playing at the park, because that also makes sense. Now the other ones wouldn't work. I enjoy playing at the park since school. That one doesn't work. I enjoy playing at the park whenever school, and I enjoy playing at the park until school. Well, that one actually would also work because you're saying that until school starts, you could do that. Oh, I've just noted that one on. So number 2, something, I have a treat, I eat my meal. So I've said before I have a treat, I eat my meal, because it's so important that you don't spoil your tea. So he ate your treat before you ate your meal. Next one, I don't go to bed until I have brushed my teeth. So you need to make sure that before you go to bed, you brush your teeth. So you cannot go to bed until I have brushed my teeth. You could have also put that at the start and said, until I have brushed my teeth, I don't go to bed. So you can see how we can use it at different points. The next one, something, I started year 3, I have been feeling really grown up. So if you had a read through of each of those, you will have noticed the most appropriate one would have been, since I started year 3, I have been feeling really grown up. We could have put that in the middle, and we could have said, I have been feeling really grown up since I started year 3. So that's another way where we can put that time conjunction connected into the middle of the sentence. And finally, I wear a waterproof coat, something, it rains heavily. So I wear a waterproof coat after it rains heavily. That one doesn't work. I wear a waterproof coat since it rains heavily. It sort of works, but I think there's more appropriate ones. I wear a waterproof coat before it rains heavily. That one would also work because it's saying that you need to put your coat on before it rains. I wear a waterproof coat whenever it rains heavily. Well, that one absolutely does work. And finally, I wear a waterproof coat until it rains heavily. Well, that one wouldn't make sense because you wouldn't take a coat off if it was raining. So your answer, your most appropriate one would have been whenever, because we could have also, if we'd have put that whenever at the start, we could have said whenever it rains heavily, I wear a waterproof coat. So I'd now like you to have a go at finishing these sentences using your own words. So I ate my toast before, so what are you going to do? So you're going to do something like this in your book, and I'd like you then to write it as when your time connected is in the middle and at the start. So for example, I'm going to write, I ate my toast before, and I'm going to add some extra detail in, I carefully brushed my teeth. Teeth. And again, you could put in some adjectives, my delicate teeth. Then, before moving on to the next one, I want you to think about, before is obviously my time connected, my time conjunction, and I'm going to put it, and this time I want to put it at the start of the sentence. So I've put it at the start this time. Before, and I'm going to think of how I'm going to say, so before I carefully brushed my teeth, I ate my toast. So there you can see, first of all, I finished the sentence. I ate my toast before I carefully brushed my teeth. And then I have put my time connected, my time conjunction at the start. Before I carefully brushed my teeth, I ate my toast. So I'd like you to have a go at doing this for each of the sentences. Now, please, can you have a go at trying to use a different sentence than mine for the first one, and then have a go at doing B and C to see your super sentences. So I'm going to just show you some examples that you could have said. So you could have said, I ate my toast before I cleaned my teeth. Or you could have said, before I cleaned my teeth, I ate my toast. After I got on my bike, I pedalled to school. So we could change it round. I pedalled to school after I got on my bike, because obviously the after is then in the middle. I arrived at the party when the music started. The music started when I arrived at the party. So we can see those are your two sentences for each of those. I'd now like you to go and make your sentences better. So at the minute, you might have added a few extra adjectives in if you have already. If not, can you spend this time now to go and add some extra adjectives in and some adverbs to really make your sentence a wow sentence? Okay, so my sentences were put in a washing machine and they've got all muddled up. So I want you to help me to write my sentences so that they make sense. So the rain stopped, came sun out after he had. So I want you to have a go now at thinking about your sentence. Now remember, our time conjunctions can either go at the start, so first identify what your time conjunction is going to be. So you could write it at the start, and then you could have a go at writing out your sentence. If you have found that sentence and it makes sense, you could think of, is there another way of doing it? So for example, I will do the first one and then you can have a go at doing the second one. If you want to have a go at doing all of them, pause the video now so you don't see me go through the first one. However, if you're still a bit unsure, if you watch the first question, I will show you how to do this one. So the rain stopped, came sun out after the had. Well, I need to find out, right, my time connected is going to be after because it's telling me when something happens. So after, right, it's saying about the rain stopped and the sun coming out. So after the rain, let's see what words. You could also write out these words and cross them out as you go along. After the rain had stopped, the sun came out. So I've done my sentence. Now, obviously that's not the only sentence I could have. We could change it so that the word after, the time conjunction after, is in the middle of the sentence. So I need to now think of how it could happen. The rain had stopped after the sun came out. I think actually that one doesn't quite work as well as the sun came out after the rain had stopped. So the sun came out after the rain had stopped. So you can see that I have unjumbled my sentences now so that they make sense, and I've also wrote the two different ways that this sentence could have been wrote. After the rain had stopped, the sun came out, and the sun came out after the rain had stopped. So I'd like you to have a go at doing numbers B and C to see if you can unmuddle your sentences and see if you can find the two sentences that it could be. So let's have a look at the answers. So after the rain had stopped, the sun came out. The sun came out after the rain had stopped. So we can see that's the two sentences that I used. When he smelled the food, his tummy rumbled. So that's my first sentence. I could also say his tummy rumbled when he smelled the food. Before she used the cheese, she buttered the bread. Or she could have said, she buttered the bread before she used the cheese. So there were your sentences that you could have used. So well done if you got those correct. Super. So on Friday you had a look at this picture and we were thinking about how we would feel being a diver, what we would be experiencing before we jumped into the water. So today we're going to think about, now we're going to dive into the water and what we're going to see under the magical ocean. So your story opener should have looked something a little bit like this. Now I'm going to read mine because this is what I wrote on the Friday, and yours obviously will look something like this as well. It was a clear, pleasant Sunday morning and the burning sun was rising elegantly into the sky. Knowing all the breathtaking scenes I would see today made my heart skip a beat with excitement. Eagerly pulling on my jet black wetsuit, which was still crispy from drying in the sun yesterday, I was overwhelmed with enjoyment. Tightly hanging to my slender body, I readied myself for the dive and took my position at the back of the boat on the bathing platform. Staring down at the crystal clear water splashing clumsily against the boat, a sudden wave of apprehension overcame me. I was about to dive into the unknown in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So we're going to now have a look at writing our next part. I'd like you now to write feelings under the water into a little bubble, and then we're going to have a look at some pictures where you're going to think about how it makes you feel, what type of feelings might you be thinking about. So I want you now to imagine you have just dived into the water and this is what you can see. So it might be that you're quite high up at the minute and it's quite deep, so the first picture you might not be able to see much. You might then swim down and see what you can see. So if you were the diver now, you've dived into the water, how do you think you're going to be feeling? What feelings are you going to be experiencing? How do you think you're going to be feeling that? And what I'd like you to do, I'd like you to put those feelings onto your feeling bubble, which you have just done now, and then we're going to see if you've got similar feelings as what I have done and I have got as well. So here are some feelings I have come up with. So I've put feelings of fear, not knowing what's down there, not knowing what you can see, it's quite deep. Comfortable or uncomfortable. If you might feel uncomfortable because you don't know what to do. If it's the first time, it might be that you feel quite comfortable if you've been a diver for a long time. You might find enjoyment and excitement and happiness through seeing all the beautiful creatures that are swimming around. You might be confused as when you first dive in, you might not see anything, but then so you might see as you're swimming down further, deeper, you find more and more sea animals. Or you might feel peaceful in the water. It's quite peaceful, it's quite pleasant, there's not a lot happening, it's not noisy, it's really peaceful down there. So there's just a few feelings that I came up with. The next thing I'd like you to do is write this setting description under the water, and we're going to now think about what we can describe, how we can do it. So we had a go at doing this on Friday, where we actually wrote our setting descriptions down first before we incorporated it into our story, before we put it in. Now I'd like you to pause the video now and I'd like you to explore what you can see on the pictures. So whilst we've dived under the water, we're now under the water. Now it might be the first picture, as you dive in, because it is quite deep is the water, we could see that when you first dive in you don't actually see too much, but as you swim down it's a whole world at the bottom of the ocean. So here are some examples, so please can you have a look at this, think about what you can maybe think that you could start to describe, maybe pull out some animals, maybe pull out some ideas for it, and then we're going to have a think about them after. So we're going to think about now what we couldn't see. So once we've dived into the water, what is it that we're going to see? So I might say that I can see a large, open space, a large open space filled with a variety of colours and shapes, because you're seeing it from a distance, so you're not actually looking at up close yet. It could be that you now describe something to do with the coral, so we could say brightly coloured coral, and we can say where it is. So sitting, we could say how it's sitting. Well, it's not moving, it's not being bothered, so it can be sitting peacefully on the seafloor. We could then think of how we could describe some animals. If you've got a sea turtle, if you're near the Great Barrier Reef in yours, in the Pacific Ocean, we could say that a powerful I want another adjective. We could say powerful, impressive, or another adjective to describe it. Powerful, impressive, sea turtle. It could be gliding gracefully. So we're saying what it's doing, gliding gracefully over the colourful coral. So I'd like you now to go and have a go at doing your bubbles to get lots of detail. Now what I would suggest doing to help yourself when you start to write it, to use lots of adjectives to describe what you can see, but also to tell me what they are doing. So are they gliding gracefully? Are they sitting peacefully? So thinking about how you can describe it. Okay, so we're going to continue writing it on from our story from yesterday. So we're going to need a new paragraph, so leave a line, and we're going to be starting our next paragraph. So let's have a reread of what we put for our first sentence opener. So I'm going to read mine. You will also need to read yours to see where you got up to so that we can carry it on. So it was a clear, pleasant Sunday morning, and the burning sun was rising elegantly into the sky. Knowing all the breathtaking scenes I would see today made my heart skip a beat with excitement. Eagerly pulling on my jet black wetsuit, which was still crispy from drying in the sun yesterday, I was overwhelmed with enjoyment. Tightly hanging to my slender body, I readied myself for the dive and took my position at the back of the boat on the bathing platform. Staring down at the crystal clear water splashing clumsily against the boat, a sudden wave of apprehension overcame me. I was about to dive into the unknown in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So now I know that I haven't taken off, I haven't dived into the ocean. So that's what I'm going to do to start with. So I'm now going to need to say how I'm going to dive in. So I'm going to start a new paragraph, so again leave a line, and I'm going to say how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to bend my knees and push off. So bending my wobbling, because if you're feeling nervous, there might be wobbling. Bending my wobbling knees which were shaking. I could even put a simile in there to say how shaking like a wobbling like a bowl of jelly, or shaking. You can say how it was shaking. So bending my wobbling knees which were shaking uncontrollably. That means that I can't control them. Controllably, which was shaking uncontrollably, I pushed off the boat diving into the water. Okay, so you could also describe the water, but what I'd like you to do now is you could pause the video. Please can you have a go at telling me about diving into the water. As soon as you've wrote your sentence, again you can use mine, change some adjectives, up level it, add some extra detail to add the information to your writing. Then play the video and we'll have a look at the next part. So we've said, bending my wobbling knees, which were shaking uncontrollably, I pushed off the boat, diving into the water. Okay, so now I can say, as I plunged into the ocean, comma, the sudden, so you can decide what the temperature of the water is going to be. The sudden coolness of the clear water sent my body into shock. Okay, so I'd like you now to write your next sentence to say, when you're in the water, how it could be that you tell me what the water feels like. It could be how you tell me how you're feeling. So use some of your feelings that you spoke about. It could be that if you've used some examples on when you've done your adjectives and adverbs to describe the scene, you could add some of those in now. So I'd like you to tell me how you feel as soon as you've entered the water, and maybe what the water feels on your body. Is it cool or is it quite warm? So I'd like you to really put that in now. So pause the video, have a go at that, and then play it once you've done. Okay, so now I'm in the water. Now it could be that you might have said that you might feel a little bit uncomfortable, a bit panicked, a little bit of fear. So we could include that in here because once you jump in the water, because of the bubbles that surround you, sometimes you can't see your friends. So I might say something like feeling slightly panicked, so a little bit panicked, slightly panicked. I searched. If you're panicked, you might be doing it frantically. I searched frantically for my diving buddies or friends. Feeling slightly panicked, I searched frantically for my diving buddies who were hidden beneath the bubbles or within the bubbles. Okay, so you're saying about where your friends are. So now you could introduce the fact that you're in with your friends. You could say how many friends you're with to do this. Now we're going to start to develop to tell me what you are going to see. So it could be that you found your friends and you're now going to start swimming down to see what you can see at the bottom of the ocean. So feeling slightly panicked, I searched frantically for my diving buddies who were hidden beneath the bubbles. We could say finally, once the bubbles had settled, we gradually started to, and instead of saying started to go down, we could say descend. We started to descend towards the ocean floor. Oh, I can't get floor in the end, but it would say floor. So you can have a go now at saying about finding your friends and now starting to descend, going down towards the bottom of the ocean. So I'd like you to pause the video now, and can you get to this point where you're at the point where you've said about finding your friends and swimming down towards the bottom of the ocean. Okay, now I'm going to leave another paragraph. I'm going to start another paragraph now because it's starting to say, now I've descended, I'm at the bottom of the ocean. So it's almost like a new event. So, arriving at the ocean floor, we could see, and then I'm going to use what I have used earlier on, where I've already got all my descriptions of what I could see and where things were. I can now start to incorporate that in. So, arriving at the ocean floor, we could see brightly coloured coral. So I'm just using what I did before, sitting peacefully on the hard, rough rocks. I could then think about, right, well, I said about a turtle, so I'm going to say swimming. Well, actually, I put gliding on mine from earlier on. So gliding gracefully So again, I'm just using this bit here, gliding gracefully, a powerful, comma, impressive, sea turtle, swam above the reef. And we could think about, if it was above the reef, it might be casting a shadow over the fish underneath him. Casting a dark shadow over the sea life below him. So I'd now like you to start to incorporate some of your ideas that you have wrote, so that you're describing what you can see whilst you are at the bottom of the ocean. So I'd like you to pause the video now, and I'd like you to go and add as much detail through different sentences, adjectives, adverbs. You can use mine to help you as well, and to really add that detail into it. Now you might find when your paragraphs are getting quite long that if you're going to start describing something else, it might be that there's a dark, gloomy figure in the background or in ahead of you. What is it going to be? So that you get to a point where you're really breaking up your paragraphs so that it's nice and clear. So I'd now like you to have a go at, obviously you've finished your writing, to go and now up level it. So again, just like we did before, making sure you've got commas between every expanded noun phrase where you've got two adjectives next to each other, making sure you've got capital letters, full stops, maybe exclamation marks. You might have put in some rhetorical questions, or what could that be? So make sure you've got some question marks. Please make sure you've got lots of adverbs at the start of sentences as well, to really make hooking your reader and really excite them in their writing as well. So once you've had a go at doing all of that, you should have got a really good chunky piece of writing there. I would not expect to see all of that writing done in one paragraph. That will not provide enough detail. So I really want to see some big chunky paragraphs with lots of detail, telling me about lots of different things that you might see in the ocean. You could tell me about what your friends might be looking at as well, or what you could be exploring. So having a fantastic chunky paragraph with lots of detail, and then in our next lesson we will look to finish it off, how to finish off our stories. So I'd love to see your work on Seesaw, so please do put it on and have a fantastic day.